one thing to be busy, but it's another thing to be productive and actually doing something. So I think that we have really gotten this coronavirus has really forced us to kind of slow things down and reevaluate some things. So that's really great, really great. Sharita, you have anything for Tiffany?
One question I guess we could ask is, how do you think obesity is affecting, or being overweight and obesity affecting women, particularly Black women here in Mississippi? Because the statistics show that the rates that, in regards to Black women are like at the height. They are more alarming. So there's obviously has to be a connection there. So one thing we know, of course, women are usually the people in the household who are preparing food. Mm-hmm. But they're also, doing a lot of other responsibilities in the household. They are responsible for taking care of everybody. So what it sounds like is that it's leaving less room for them to be able to take care of themselves. So how do you think that is affecting Black women in Mississippi?
You made a huge point. I mean, we're the caretakers, women, of everybody. And as far as women, obesity in Mississippi, just general, we're very high. And basically, as far as African-American women, 4 in 5 Black or African-American women are overweight or obese. Our situation is just so very complex because of all the compounding factors that we have within our society. So you think about economic, social, environmental individuals. Think about even, going back to coronavirus, those essential workers that they're out there every day putting themselves out there to support us. So, and some of those African-American women are essential workers working in the public. So, when we think about obesity prevention, there's so many different, efforts that have to be taken. And really it goes back to trying to create a space, whether it's be a policy, a system, an environmental change strategy that really just promotes and supports healthy eating, active living, and again, something that's going to be sustainable.
Okay.
Yes. And I think, like you said, even just putting it in a context, and it's like, I know everybody, sometimes, you try to tune out what's going on, like with the pandemic, but I think it's still, it's very relevant. And like you said, even thinking about essential workers, often, women, we are essential workers and we don't have that option to stay home. So that is a very, very good point.
Think about women too. We put everybody before us. And that's one of our, we're caretakers and we're nurturers. But, it goes back to, I haven't been on a plane since January, but I recall when you get on the plane, they say, you put your mask on first before you put everyone else's mask on. So until you're able to kind of take care of you, you can't be the best version of you until you do something for yourself first and then share out. So it's a matter of even just thinking about, how do I create that space where I can just find 10 minutes for me? How can I create great? Because 10 minutes of walking, that's still 10 minutes more than what you did the day before.
Exactly.
So any behavior change, anything that you say, well, I'm taking this few minutes for me, it's going to be a benefit to the family that you're supporting, the kids, the husband. We have other compounding. We may be, it's multi-generational. We may be helping with grandparents. We may be helping with our parents. There's so many things, but we got to find just a few minutes to just kind of take care of us. And I also think back to even the stuff that we eat. We're sometimes so busy, we're not even paying attention to that food. We may have ordered something from McDonald's and we know it's not good. Like, it wasn't hot, the fries are cold, but because we're rushing, we're just going to eat it just because. Mm-hmm. Not even paying attention to that. You know what? If we would have had that moment, we'd have been like, you know what? This isn't good. But we're scarfing it down. And, we're not taking a moment to just enjoy the food, to realize, like, this is not what I wanted. This isn't a good choice for me. So I think it just goes back to just trying to figure out, how do we create some time for me as an individual, whether it's just 10 minutes, even if it doesn't even have to be physical activity or nutrition. Like, what about journaling and expressing those feelings somewhere else other than how we eat. Because sometimes a lot of people, we eat to deal with other stuff.
Exactly.
Going on. So even if you took let me just journal this day, versus using another coping mechanism that
right.
might be good for my health, because it's a coping mechanism that people are established to, let me have something sugary. That's a coping mechanism. I had someone the other day, they were having a bad day, and I was like, I just want a piece of cake. And that's how you cope, dealing with whatever's going on at that moment. So even thinking about those strategies, and again, multi-generational. I remember being sad, and my parents were like, let me get you some ice cream. But there are other ways to cope with what's going on. We got to kind of deal with that problem head on. So even if you think about, let me journal, let me find another behavior to do instead of doing that particular behavior that may not be good for my health. And I don't really focus on size, BMI, things like that, because that can be misconstrued, as well as you may have someone that's thin, they just may be naturally thin, but we don't know how they're consuming and how they're maintaining that. That may not be a healthy behavior that they are doing. So we can't just focus on BMI. But think about my behaviors. My behavior that I eat whole, natural food the majority of the time. I exercise 4 to 5 days a week. I'm doing my part, and I may be considered by the scale or by this number that I'm overweight or obese. But I know that I make really good choices, and I try to be active, and I incorporate activity in my life. And so that's one of the things I think people also need to consider, because it's not always about the scale and that number, because you may have someone that's very thin naturally, but they may have chronic conditions. So it doesn't necessarily, and I may be overweight, but I don't have a chronic condition because I am doing X, Y, and Z to support my body.
Yes, I mean, that is so true. And I'm glad that you said that also, because like you just said, it's just not about a number. And even with your work with obesity prevention with the Mississippi State Department of Health, and like I know you work with early childhood and educating early. So how do you bring that to their level, or even with, I don't know if you deal with the instructors or the teachers or the staffing. How do you bring that to them, at that level to understand this, especially when we have so many issues with body image, here in our country? How do you bring that to the table for like the younger kids or younger people?
I really try to, I don't get the pleasure of working with child care centers and things like that as much as I would like to. I don't get to do that, one-on-one all the time. But I really encourage people, again, focusing on the behavior because it's healthy eating, physical activity, that's a behavior. It's not a quick diet, anything you can do, because a diet is something we want a lifestyle where that's just a part of your life. So even with the child care setting, if we start early with them being active and good choices when they go to elementary school, and there's physical activity and good healthy choices for breakfast and lunch, that kind of continues on. Then you go to high school and that continues on because they've been seeing it, and that's how they see that it's going to be something that can occur again throughout the rest of their life. Also thinking about the stuff that we do as far as screen time and physical activity, again, really trying to encourage being active versus playing on our phones or playing on the computer, doing other things during that time. So, and just reminding people too that the goal is to make a lifestyle change. So what works for Tiffany may not work for the next person. So everyone has to find that their own. What works best for them. I know in my role just as an RD, people will ask me for meal plans. I could give you a meal plan, but I eat broccoli and asparagus and cauliflower, and that may not be something that you want to eat. So how do you learn how to eat that works for you, that's good for you? Because you can do my diet and do it perfectly for the first couple of weeks, but if you have a bad day, you're going to go back to that behavior. But if you find things that incorporate, that fits into that calorie that I've given you that you enjoy, it'll work best for you when it's something that you choose to do versus following this meal plan that was created.
Exactly.
And to tell people, one, enjoy your food, but eat less of it. You can still enjoy it, but you eat less of it. And, just really focusing on you as a whole person as well. So there's so much more than just the weight, me mentally, me socially, spiritually, all those other things focus. And then the ultimate goal of being at this ultimate level of wellness will occur. But there's more than just nutrition and physical activity when you think about wellness. Think about all aspects of it.
Yes, definitely. And this leads us to, I know we kind of got started a little bit late, but this conversation is great. So we want you to stay with us. And we're going to bring on our next guest that are coming on. And we really appreciate you, but we want you to stay on here. And I'm just going to bring in our next guest, just to add in on all the things that we've already talked about. So we are excited about this podcast. We're excited about this topic. And I think
did it bring me on?
Hey, how you doing? Good. We are so glad that you are here to join us, and thank you for your patience and waiting for us.
No problem.
As we kind of work out the little kinks, as we keep doing it, we're gonna get a little bit better each time.
It's internet, so you never expect too much. So
yeah, and people are home right now too, so they got a little bit of time.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you for being on with us today. I'm going to let Sharita go ahead and introduce you.
All right. So we have here Takia Williams, who's a native of Jackson, Mississippi, who started her company, Mama Nature's Juice Bar, in November 2016. With hard work and dedication, she opened the first plant-based juice bar in Mississippi in February 2018 and proceeded to open their second location in August 2019. They are currently opening a third location and expanding their health brand. Takia transitioned to a plant-based lifestyle in 2016 in efforts to improve her health and the health of her children. After much success and the enjoyment of her product between her family and friends, she launched her brand, Mama Nature's. She has been spreading the message on health through the convenience of food, reconnecting people back to the benefits of choosing natural products, while pushing the message of supporting local businesses, craftsmen, and artists through sourcing much of their products locally. Her initiative is to introduce the community to the benefits of including plant-based options in our daily routine. Check them out on social media, Facebook, IG, and Twitter at Mama Nature's Juice Bar, and Kia W online at www.mamanatureswellness.com.
Thank you.
Awesome. We are so glad to have you.
I'm so glad to be here. This message is definitely needed, especially here in Mississippi.
Right. So,
and I know Takia. Oh, go ahead, Sharita.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I know you're not a stranger to Women for Progress, because I know you've done some lunch and learns and brought some different things and different information. So we appreciate you, even through Women for Progress, and especially, like I said, podcast.
No, thank you guys for the invitation. And anytime Women of Progress reach out, I'm always open. It's great to connect with like-minded individuals, especially women here locally that are on that same mission.
Go ahead, Sharita.
So I was going to say, Takia, if you want to start before we ask any questions, for the people who obviously probably are living under the rock if they haven't heard of Mama Nature's Juice Bar, but for the people who aren't as familiar with your business, with your juice bar, just give them a little information about what you do.
All right, so I am Kia with Mama Nature's Juice Bar. If you have not heard of us, we are a plant-based juice bar located in Ridgeland and Jackson, now opening another location in Madison. So we started back in 2016 when, like you said, it was my own health initiative I was trying to take control of. Dealing with tiredness and fatigue. I knew that a lot of that kind of derived from what I was eating. So I'm eating bad and I'm expecting my body to be fueled off of this bad food. So changed my diet, got into smoothies, got into juicing, and realized here in Mississippi, we don't or didn't at that time have the access or convenience to healthy food options, and natural unprocessed items. So here at Mama Nature's, we just wanted to bring that convenience and also the experience, because in Mississippi, it was a new concept. It was something new for people to say, okay, I'm going to go get a cup of blended kale, bananas, and spinach and different things like that. So we definitely had to get out in the community and actually educate people behind what we sell and the benefits of literally just eating fruit and veggies.
Right.
And that's what we continue to do. Just pushing that message and showing people that you can get health in a convenient way and it tastes good.
Good. Great.
And I'm glad you said that about the because with educating, because that's something that I need education on, because I was reading your bio and kind of looking at things, and I and I have to come by Mama Nature. I haven't gotten over there yet. I live in Clinton, but I got to make my way over.
I know we got to make our way to Clinton.
Yeah, I know it's like when you live on like opposite ends of the earth.
I know. Trust me.
But just even like the difference with, because I've done smoothies, of course, but I've never juiced. So like, can you just kind of give us like, in our listening audience, like the difference with juicing and smoothie, and what is the difference? Is there a difference? And like, is there nutritional differences in it, or how does that go?
The biggest difference, and like I said, juicing was a new concept here in Mississippi because everyone knew of smoothies. Everyone was doing smoothies. That was a norm for us. Well, the biggest difference is juice is the removal of pulp and fiber. So it's just the juice from the fruit and vegetable, which in turn will allow that juice to go straight to your bloodstream. So you're getting those nutrients immediately, and your body doesn't actually have to do any processing to break it down. Now, smoothie contains the fiber. So when people are looking for meal replacements and different things like that, I usually veer them towards the smoothies because that's where you're going to get that fuller filling. And it has that fiber in it to just help, hold you over to your next meal or become a meal replacement. So that's the biggest difference. Juice, no pulp, none of the fiber, right to the bloodstream, nutrients immediately, and definitely depending on the process of it, it is still living as well. So depending on how the juice is processed, you're still getting those living nutrients in that juice, and that's where when you take a shot of ginger or turmeric, or you drink a cup of beet juice, you're feeling immediate changes in the body.
Awesome.
That helps me because, like I said, I've seen people, like at the job, like, like they juice and then it looks like, most of the time it's like green and, it's like, so, I just never knew, kind of like I said, I've done green smoothie, but I've never done juice. So and I'm even thinking that it's probably easier to digest, even for your digestive system.
Much easier to digest. And I didn't touch on this. You do usually use more produce. So in a juice, you'll use a bunch of kale, a bunch of spinach, a full cucumber, whole apples, and different things like that. Whereas in a smoothie, you don't have to use as much because you got that fiber. You don't want it to be too thick or anything. But in juice, you're able to use much more produce in order to get those nutrients.
All right. I can't. Are you saying something, Mary?
Oh, you can't hear me?
No, we can't hear you.
No?
Now we can.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. No, I was saying, did you have anything else for Kia?
I do. You were asking her. She had anything else?
No, I was asking you.
I do. I actually have a question to Kia. Of course, we live in Mississippi, and like Tiffany was saying earlier, we're still in the educating phase. We're down south. We love our soul food, and we're still getting to the point where we're trying to learn more about the other healthier alternatives that are better for our bodies, better for our health, so we can reduce the risk of being obesity. So I would just go ahead and ask. I know there's a lot of people who aren't quite ready to go completely plant-based or completely vegetarian or even completely pescatarian. There are some people who are going to have a more gradual walk into that direction.
Yes.
So, because of course in our community, and this is one thing I talk about all the time.
Like me.
Right.
It's okay.
So,
it's okay.
It's okay. And it's a growing process, because with anything that we're being educated on, we don't learn it overnight. Mm-hmm. And so we have to learn the information and then start implementing the information to make the real changes. So I know in the Black and brown community, where the numbers of obesity are probably at the highest, one thing is that culturally we love our food to be very flavorful. Yes. And a lot of times that flavor comes from meat. A lot of times the type of meats that we don't need. So one question I have is, how can we learn how to maintain a healthier diet while still enjoying that flavor that we love and enjoy? What are some alternatives for the people who aren't quite ready to go completely plant-based, but are ready to step away from pork and red meat as their first step?
So I have two things for that. For my people that don't want to go plant-based, one thing that I always tell people is, hey, it is a progressive. It's all about progress. So take your time. If you can't throw out the meat, what I say is start by making meat a side instead of a main dish. So start by making meat to where it's a smaller portion rather than taking up the entire plate. And then for my people that want to transition, but they are missing that flavor, you will actually be surprised that a lot of times it's the seasons that we put on a lot of things that give it the flavor versus the actual meat. The meat will kind of spark out endorphins with the fattenings and different things that it contains, but that flavor can actually come from different herbs and different things like that. When you are transitioning, you have to open your mind. You have to open your mind and you have to open your taste palette. You gotta be okay with saying, okay, I'm gonna try something new, because even when you're transitioning away from meat and getting into more veggies or anything, it takes time, and your taste buds are going to change during that process. Literally, me doing more smoothies and juices got me to the point where I couldn't take as much salt. I don't do table salt at all. I do Himalayan salt or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But your taste buds will change as you transition into getting more whole foods versus having to get it from meat products or anything. But seasonings, it's all about herbs and spices. You get the right herbs and spices together, you can make it taste the way you want it to taste. And the little secret ingredient everybody's been finding out about is liquid smoke, which is kind of that flavor that gives it those meatier flavors for people. Because we get a lot of people that ask us about cooking. We actually recently just removed food from our menu because we have a great announcement coming up, but we're opening a restaurant. So we're going to actually have it to where you can get those plant-based options and still feel like you're eating your soul food. Still feel like you're eating your meals that still have that, flavor punch that you're missing. So it's all about balancing the herbs. It's all about balancing those seasonings and spices.
Okay.
With the right produce and with the right fruit and vegetable.
Right. That is exciting. So exciting.
Awesome. And we're going to, Kia, we thank you for being here, and we would love for you, want you to stay with us. And just, as our time is moving on, I'm going to bring on our next guest, which is going to be Astria Goolsby. And this is some great information to help us transition on into our next guest. And then we just want to have a conversation with everybody once we bring everybody in.
All right.
Astria in. Hey, Astria. Can you see us? We see your beautiful picture. Oh, connected. Hey, Astria.
Hello.
Thank you for waiting and being patient with us. We really appreciate it. We're working out the kinks. We're still working out some of the kinks.
I'm honored to be here.
Awesome, awesome. So Astria Goolsby is our next guest, and we are so grateful to have her here. Astria is a 15-year fitness industry veteran and the founder of Verve LLC. I think I'm saying that right.
Yes,
Verve.
you are.
Okay. She is a graduate of the University of Mississippi with a degree in exercise science. She has worked with various organizations, just to mention a few: the Mississippi Department of Education, Office of Healthy Schools, Mississippi Roadmap to Healthy Equity, Oxford Boys and Girls Club, and Tougaloo College. Through her passion, Astria has established health and wellness programs, policies, professional training, services / prescriptions, and more. She has received numerous awards and accolades throughout the state, and I'm sure she could share some with us later. And she has devoted her 10 plus years within the fitness industry to help an individual make sustainable lifestyle changes. So let's welcome Astria. So once again, welcome, and we are so glad to have you here. And as our topic is, the war on obesity and its effects, and how to lose the weight and kind of keep it off. So we just want you to jump right in and share with us, your expertise, because we know you have 15 years in the fitness, over 15 years in the fitness industry, and we know you have a wealth of knowledge.
That's the question, is how to lose the weight and keep it off. Talking to my students today, I told them you have to pay attention to those important words and sentences and make sure you're ready for that. So where are we starting? I don't know. So where we start? Do you want to know how to lose weight? Are we addressing the barriers and challenges to losing weight? Are we? Where do you want to start?
Well, let's kind of talk about the areas where people are usually having challenges. I did a Facebook post a couple of weeks ago, just kind of to get a feel for people. And I think it's been my best post ever, because I think I got like 100 responses. And just kind of asking people what were their struggle when it came to eating right or exercising. And the majority was eating right. And, a few people said exercising as far as time and different things. So I think, it would be great to start with like the areas that people are having challenges with.
Do we really? So we want to know the truth. Okay. So
yes, that's what we want. The real truth.
The real truth. Are they ready? Okay. So it's not eating right or exercise. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. It is the other dimensions of wellness. That's the problem. Mm-hmm. I teach total wellness at Tougaloo College, and this is what I teach, that we should start as early as possible. I also teach this same platform for early college, Jackson Public Schools, early college. It's the other dimensions. It almost has nothing to do with what you exercise and eating. That part is almost like the privilege you get for getting the other dimensions of wellness in order. Whenever I train someone, I'm talking about way back at Ole Miss, I'm in the Turner Center. I started out exercise science, and they come to me and they say, I want this. So you have 8 dimensions of wellness. You have intellectual, okay, we have expanding knowledge and skills. So if someone doesn't know how to understand the type of words that I'm using with exercise, I can be intimidating. If they don't understand and they can't comprehend media, it can be intimidating and it can push them away from exercise. Their creative abilities. I mean, some people I didn't even know I was athletic for a while until I actually started to participate in sports in school. Had no idea I could run. I've had clients that have never participated in a sport, and when I train them, I'm like, did you have any idea that your muscle mass versus your body fat, you have an athletic build, that you do this effortlessly, like you actually are coordinated? Because we have some uncoordinated clients. That's another thing. And so it makes the uncoordinated clients feel as if they can't do it. So now they're not, they think it's a problem. It's not a problem. You just need someone who can recognize where those challenges and barriers are within those dimensions of wellness. You have financial wellness. Are being satisfied with where you are financially, for one. I tell my students, you're in college. It's okay. It's okay to be where you are. Just figure out where you are. Live within that lifestyle. Just swallow it, live within it. and then figure out and use intellectual wellness and learn how to grow and be where you want to be, and just make a plan and work towards that. Because if my financial wellness is not in order, you can't pay me to train you. That's real. Afford to eat right, eat healthy. And when I say afford to eat healthy, I'm really talking about budgeting. That's a whole other topic. People say, I can't afford it, but I look in your basket and you're trying to eat potato chips and potatoes. I said, you can't eat both. That's why you can't afford it, because you can buy too much of the wrong thing.
I'm gonna do too much.
With financial wellness, you can't afford gym memberships if you're not financially well. You're making bad decisions if you don't educate yourself on how to budget, intellectual and financial. You have social wellness. Some people feel like they have to have somebody to work out with. They don't go work out because they don't go work out because they don't have anyone. That's not very good social wellness, but you do want someone who is going to encourage you and not tell you that you look sick because you're losing weight. Another issue I have with some clients, you gotta look at that. What type of support system? When I go to church, are you encouraging me to eat healthy, or are you encouraging me to eat some fried chicken and fried fish? I'm just saying, let's be honest now. If I'm at home and I'm with my kids and my husband and I'm trying to eat healthier, but I have to cook fried chicken and baked chicken just because you don't want to conform, that's not a good social wellness atmosphere. Everybody has to be on page that's in your social wellness environment. You have emotional wellness. When I'm feeling down and out about how I look, about how the media portrays that I should look, I'm feeling a little depressed today. Let's just say I have some emotional imbalances once a month, It happens. We get a little off sometimes, and we have to get back on. Do I have someone to talk to? Do I have somewhere to go to even assess to see if I have some issues with my emotional support? So do I have that outlet? So you got to look at your emotional wellness. You have to look at your occupational wellness. That is where you spend most of your day. I tell my students, you're at work right now. Get used to it. As much time you spend at school, you're going to spend at work when you graduate. It's never going to stop, and homework never stops. I said, I just had to write a report that was 10 pages. Homework those reports do not stop. So get used to it now. But if you're unhappy with where you are most of the time throughout your day, do you really feel like going to work out? No, you don't. You don't feel like it. If you're not educated on what type of foods to eat, do you know what to eat? If you're being misled. So you have to, once you address those others and you get those in order, and I'm not saying that doesn't take years, that takes a consultation to talking to a professional. So that's why I sit down and I tell every trainer that comes to me, and you know this, Ms. Mary, my thing is get that consultation done. So that's your moment in time to see what you're working with, because it's not about what they know how to do. It's not about if they're eating right. It's about, do they know what a broccoli is? Do they know what a bicep is? Do they have the emotional and social support to even do what you want them to do? Because you can start with me, but if you're at home and they won't allow you at home, at church, or in your environment to do what you need, you can't financially fit into your budget, then you're not going to continue. So it's not about, and when they say I need that motivation, that tells me that your support system is not there. Your social support is off. So we need to get you a part of either some Facebook groups. We need to get you somewhere where you have that support and someone's pushing you outside of me. I can't be with you forever. I get that. People think I have to. But like I see you now and then I don't see you. I said, I'm sorry. I can't help everybody 24/7, 365.
You're trying to empower them.
She said, you mean to tell me you're not just my trainer? Privately, you don't train anyone? I said, no, sweetheart. Your financial wellness is not in order. I see that right now. So yes, you have to, it's not about, it is, but it's not. So first thing we have to do is going to have to be to address those other dimensions of wellness and take it seriously. And being able to recognize the difference between emotional and social support, being able to recognize where are those resources and outlets out there in the community, because a lot of times they just don't know. People are running around hungry, but I'm on the American Heart Association. Do you know where the food pantries are? And where are you not going? So my thing is I need you to take part in some of these resources in the community so that I can give you this plan, you can follow it, and you can do what I ask you. Because when it comes down to it, Miss Mary, if they want to hear the truth, one of my clients, I've been training her for 6 months now. I just asked you, I said, you know what? At this point, you just got to do it. I'm sorry. We've gone through all
the be like Nike.
It's like, you got to do it. You just want to do it at some point. You know, I've taught you everything you need to know. You've done it once, you just fell off. Your mom is supporting you now. You've gotten that financial part. You got the money to do it. You have a well-paying job. What is the problem? And if it's a mental thing, then we need to be honest about that. You know what? I get depressed and I emotionally. You've got to say it. You've got to address it so that the society has to stop putting that stigma on the mental wellness, so that we can say that we have something going on that's preventing us from sustaining healthy lifestyle. So that's the thing is you've got to look at your whole life before you can even try to start a fitness program or change your diet.
And I think that is so key. Like you were saying, looking at the dimensions of health. And one thing I even tell, my clients with health coaching is, if you don't trust the process, you'll always be chasing results. You'll always be trying to get to that weight. But when you realize, like you just said, it's bigger than just the food and the exercising, that it's a process. So, and as usual, you always give us some great information, but I know our time is winding up, but I want to keep you on and bring back Tiffany and Kia, just to pull it all together, because, we really need more than an hour for this, because this is some really, really good information.
Right.
And Sharita was talking about, even before we came on, of just how excited we were just to have this conversation, and especially during this time. So we really appreciate you ladies, and I'm hoping, I don't think it's going to cut off. I'm praying that it does. But just with having all three of you back on, where do you see, because of course we're here in Mississippi, we may have people watching us from other areas, but we're here in Mississippi. So where do you see us going here in Mississippi? What are some changes that we need to make? Because we know that, unfortunately, Mississippi is always at the top of the list for everything bad, and we're at the bottom of the list for everything good. We just made national news the other day, unfortunately, because our numbers are going up so high for coronavirus. Like, what a way to be on CNN.
Yes.
But what do y'all see? And either anybody can speak to this, but what changes do you think that we need to make here, even if it's in policy wise or even just individually? What are some things you see here in Mississippi, with boots on the ground, that we can do here to change our outlook and our obesity rate and the effects of obesity here?
Well, I can definitely say in my field of the food industry, I definitely see strides being made when it comes to health food options. I've been making an initiative of mine to actually reach out, make sure I am in the mix with everyone that's pushing the health initiative and trying to actually make the education behind health top priority for everyone. And it's been a beautiful process, because a lot of the health places that are here are mostly Black owned. So that's been a beautiful thing to me, to see that we're taking initiative to take back our own health and just the way that we view what health is. So I'm very optimistic and very open to just what Mississippi has in store. But I also see there's tons of work that still needs to be done and that can be done.
I think that I agree with Ms. Kia. We need to keep striving and pushing, because I've seen some organizations, like I said before, I'm a part of the American Heart Association, the Health Equity Committee, and so the pantries that are, even through COVID, we pushed through to continue to put those pantries up. I've seen farmers market to begin. I remember when they first started taking EBT cards, I was like, that is beautiful. And that was in all areas. I tell people, I'm like, did you go to the farmer's market? I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. You don't have access. Handy Lift drops off the visually and hearing impaired to us. So that was beautiful when I saw them there. And then they bring them to Tougaloo College. They're going out their way. You also have the insurance companies. I asked all of my clients, do you know what your insurance provides? Do you know that they actually have fitness plans where they would pay for your gym memberships? Some of them, one of the companies told me that they stopped paying for personal training because people were not taking advantage of it. I said, what? Can you give me that list, please? So I think we need to keep pushing resources and come together some kind of way and find a collective way of marketing what we are offering. It's great, those unhealthy cultural habits.
Exactly.
We gotta break those. We gotta break them. We gotta break that stigma of mental illness with what that it's an illness with attention. We need to just take some mental attention and
Definitely.
But that cultural, that's what I'm struggling against. My thing is, Ashley, you don't miss macaroni? Yes, I miss macaroni, but I had to stop eating it at some point. And you have to watch those every now and then. And the culture, that's what it is. It's those unhealthy cultural habits that we have, and that we need to almost honor our grandmother's ham hocks. I'm like, I'm sorry, Grandma, I don't want to eat this. And you will have I don't want that. So I think we're headed in the right direction. Keep going, find a way to come together to continue to market, and then make sure that we are respectfully correcting those unhealthy cultural habits.
So I'll just add on, thinking about the work that I do, is really trying to build communities that make it safer and easier for people to actually be physically active. And as mentioned earlier, as far as food systems, where they can choose healthy food options, and to make sure that it's a continuum. So it's where they live, where they work, where they learn, where they play, where they pray, in all of those various areas. So even thinking about, as Ashley mentioned earlier, that activity part of, making sure there are walkable community policies within where people live. Are there paths that are available, walking trails, trees and green space to make that environment enjoyable for their walk?
Yes.
Someone mentioned about, they can just walk down, a dusty old road. That's not enjoyable walking on a dusty road, even if I do have my, music playing. But if I have greenery, thinking about that, thinking about supporting, again, schools and communities where may not have access to a fitness center, but that school and community will partner together, and that increases access for people in that community to be physically active. Again, are there bike trails available so that that's safe, that people can ride their bike? Ashley mentioned earlier, farmers market. Really, how can we support that and make sure that every community has a farmers market, and that they're taking EBT benefits so that people can use their benefits at that farmers market? So when we think about that work, think about all aspects of that individual's life. So Ashley mentioned wellness, and like I said, it's a total wellness thing. So when we live, work, play, pray, all of that, making the healthy choice an easier choice, and having those options available.
And we're wasting money until we do. That's true.
Exactly.
Until we do address those environments, that environmental wellness, get those streets going, and come together. These natural food, the Black-owned businesses. Until we come together, guys, we waste. I'm watching. I told you, 13, 15 years. I've just been sitting back going, this is a shame. Watch this program go away. Watch that program go away. And I have seen them go away and come and go away. Tiffany, I've seen you over there. Tiffany was there when I was sitting, little girl starting out, sitting in the office in the school saying, what can I do? I want to do this. Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. And here we are now, 15 years later, and we're still addressing it. We're still addressing it, but it's better. And so this teaches us to understand that it's going to take time.
Yes.
So that's another
progress.
When you give us that money, when you all give us that money, those grant money, understand this is not a 3-year process. Again, this was 10, 15 years ago when I met you.
Yes, and prevention to see changes in preventive health, it takes about 10 years. It's not like a quick fix. It's also, again, it's environment, but then it's individual. It's that mental wellness that you were referencing. All that plays. And if someone's trying to figure out how to make $1 out of 15 cents,
3 years, what are we going to do with that? We can't do that.
Ladies, I don't want us to, I'm just watching our time, because I don't want us to just get cut off. Sharita, did you have a comment or question?
Well, that actually, I already kind of addressed it, because my closing question was going to be, with the upcoming election season, just keeping in mind that our local and state officials have a lot to do with a lot of the things that we've discussed that are barriers to people becoming healthier and living healthier lifestyles. So one thing that we can do individually and in our communities is to encourage people to go to your local city hall and see who you need to talk to ask about getting sidewalks in your community if there aren't any sidewalks. and those type of things, because people just don't know that it's that simple sometimes. If enough people get together and show up and say, this is what we need, this is what we want, I pay taxes. And we all know in Hinds County, if you live in Hinds County, you probably pay some of the highest taxes. So we got to start getting the benefits of that. Let's put our money into our communities so that we can change the narrative for our health and for our children and our children's children.
Exactly.
Definitely. And ladies, I mean, we're going to have to do this again. I think we're going to have a part 2 because it's so much information. Like, it just is not enough time. But I definitely, before we go, I do want you, each of you, to share your information and how do people get in contact with you if they want to work with you, or they're interested in the projects, or, you know, what you're doing in the community. How do they get in touch with you?
I'm located in Fundren Corner in Fundren. So if you walk into the Fundren Corner building with all the restaurants, you will walk right into me. But you can always call us at 601-308-4220. I am Ask Astria on Instagram. I'm Astria on Facebook. You Ask Astria, but if you put